up to the Outback Bowl, the Gators and the Hawkeyes enjoyed all the fun that a bowl week offers. But now that the calendar has flipped to 2017, it's time to get back to football. Jim McElwain brings his 17th-ranked Gators into Tampa, looking to end their season on a high note after back-to-back losses to in-state rival Florida State and then #1 Alabama. For Iowa and Kirk Ferentz, they ended 2016 on a roll with 3 straight wins, including an upset of #3 Michigan. Today, they're looking for their 3rd straight win over a ranked team. Welcome to the Outback Bowl as part of Capital One Bowl Mania. We are at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa as the #17 Florida Gators take on the Iowa Hawkeyes. Good afternoon, everybody. Mike Patrick, Ed Cunningham. It's great to have you with us. Dr. Jerry Punch will join us shortly. Iowa won 8 games this year on the strength of a defense that got better and better as the season wore along. And an offense that commits very few mistakes, and these guys are competitive with anybody.
And for Kirk Ferentz and his offensive staff, they had to patchwork figure out an offense. They lost their best receiver, their best tight end. Their offensive line was a patchwork with injury, 7 different starting offensive lines. But as they got in November and really just started running the ball, they could rely a bit on C.J. Beathard, a guy who I think has more than NFL potential. I think he's going to play in the NFL. However, they're not throwing the ball much at all. In that 3-game win streak, they have put the ball in the hands of Akram Wadley and LaShawn Daniels, and these 2 guys have performed well behind an offensive line that many, including me, felt coming into the year was one of the best in the country. Now finally have healthy. They get Cole Croston back today at tackle even, and if Wadley has a good game today, goes over 34 yards rushing, they'll be the first pair in the history of Iowa football to rush for over 1,000 yards. And in those last 3 games, I mentioned how they haven't been throwing very much. In the last 3 games, that win streak, they've rushed for 690 yards and thrown for 290. 290 is a game in today's game, not 3 games. And they beat #3 Michigan and blew out #15 Nebraska. It's a hot team.
Well, Florida won 8 games as well, and they did it the same way with a tenacious defense. But the offense really held them back. They just didn't produce many points.
And Jim McElwain was brought here to replace Will Muschamp, a defensive-minded guy, to take care of the offense. Well, Muschamp left some guys behind. 3 juniors today. Caleb Brantley, Tease Tabor, and Quincy Wilson are going to be playing perhaps their last game at Florida. And these are 3 guys that will almost assuredly, if they come out, go in the first round. And the question, if I'm a Gators fan after a tough loss to Florida State, blown out against Alabama, do these guys want to keep tackling and wrapping guys up? That's a big question if I'm Jim McElwain today, is the focus of my team.
When you have 2 teams that are so much alike in the way they operate, what will make the difference when they end up playing each other? Well, Jerry Punch may have found the answer looking at special teams. Doc?
Hey, Mike, exactly. Coaches always say that special teams can be the deciding factor in close games. And today, with these 2 stingy defenses, points may be hard to come by. And field position may be more critical than ever. And that's why the junior punter, Johnny Townsend, led the nation, averaging over 48 yards a punt, which shattered the existing school record, and he is a weapon in the field position battle. Their sophomore place kicker, Eddie Pinheiro, has a cannon for a leg. Not only is he perfect 3 for 3 from beyond 50 yards this year, in practice he has hit from as far away as 77 yards. And if you're wondering what 77 yards is, that means a line of scrimmage is your own 40-yard line. And so when you snap the ball back, the ball would be placed on your own 33. The kick would go from here. Folks, that is 77 yards. And with these defenses today and the game on the line, he might just get a chance to do it from here for real. Mike?
Let's take a look at today's keys to the game, brought to you by Franklin American Mortgage Company.
Well, for Iowa, it's manufacture a passing game. I mentioned their top receiver, Matt Vandenberg, still out. They get George Kittle back today. But with those 2 great corners, not sure how much you're going to throw it downfield. And for Florida, play with effort, regular season effort. See if you can get to a level that's worthy of coming out to play against a team that's really good, because you have a lot of guys on Florida out on defense. As many as 10 top-flight starters out today with injuries for Florida.
Austin Appleby was forced to throw a lot of passes in the SEC championship game lost to Alabama, but the senior transfer did throw for 261 and 2 touchdowns, although the Crimson Tide picked him off 3 times. Appleby played his first 3 years at Purdue, threw for nearly 2,800 yards, 19 touchdowns, unfortunately, just as many INTs for the Boilermakers.
And as quirky as college football has become, this is the 4th time Austin Appleby will have played against the Iowa Hawkeyes. 3 times he got a lot of snaps as a backup at Purdue, and now starting against Florida.
Appleby to throw on first down, and it goes right through the hands of his intended receiver, Keontae Lewis, and Josie Jewell, the middle linebacker, was right there. 115th in the country is the ranking for the Florida Gators out of 128. They have just had a terrible time, and they are facing a defense, one of the best in the nation, 24th in total defense, top 50 in everything, and tied for 10th in scoring defense. Second down, straight ahead. Maybe a yard for Jordan Scarlett. He is their leading rushing back, and as yet he has gained only 795 yards on the season.
Yeah, all year long, Florida's been trying to find an offense. They started the season with Luke Del Rio, another transfer quarterback. He's been out with a shoulder injury, and he is apparently available to play. They are saying the shoulder's not quite 100%, but Austin Appleby, there's a look at Del Rio, took over and is the healthiest quarterback by far that's eligible to play. There are 2 true freshmen that could play, but they certainly don't want to play them today and burn a year of eligibility.
Appleby goes back and sets in the pocket, throws a perfect strike. They've got a first down, and it's caught by Tyree Cleveland, a young man who was hurt early in the season, missed the entirety of camp. They think he is going to be the next great Florida receiver.
Boy, almost. That ball was tipped by Desmond King, who had cut underneath of this. King last year awarded the Thorpe Award for the best defensive back in the country, having another good senior year, but wasn't able to get enough. Good throw by Appleby. An excellent protection, Mike. Appleby, he's not great under pressure, so if they can protect him, it's going to be a much better day.
Jim McElwain looking for a hot hand. Anybody in the running game. Appleby wants to air it out again over the middle, tipped in the air, and intercepted. Picked off by Brandon Snyder after Joshua Jackson, who was the 3rd corner to start on that side, did a beautiful job of tipping it up in the air, and Snyder, playing center field, comes in to get his 3rd interception.
Watch Jackson wait on this ball. He could have run through the receiver, but he was there with so much time. He knew not to, and this is a guy who just started playing. Manny Ragumba is out. Greg Maben is out. Joshua Jackson has to step up, and Mike, you said it. The tip was beautiful. He could have made contact through the receiver early, but he had such good position, he was able to tip it to his teammate Snyder. What a big turnover. Florida pushing the ball down the field, good aggressive calls, but a terrific play by Jackson.
Deshaun Daniels, the tailback, gets the first carry. C.J. Beathard has had a really good career at Iowa. The senior has won more than 3/4 of his starts. He has the highest winning percentage of any Hawkeye quarterback in school history. He also has 40 career touchdown passes, which puts him 6th on the all-time Iowa list.
And he fought through a sports hernia, basically a torn groin, all last season, had some surgeries, been healthy, and then everyone around him at the beginning of the season became unhealthy, unfortunately for him.
Daniels, a little stutter step, needs to get to the 38 for a first down. Of course, much like Florida, Iowa's offense has been challenged. Only 128th in the FBS because they haven't been able to throw very much. And that Florida defense, same as Iowa, tied for 10th in scoring defense, but they're 3rd against the pass, 6th in total defense. They are just sensational, even though they have battled injury after injury after injury, mainly at linebacker. They've been decimated. Beathard, double pump, knocked down, almost picked. Kavanis Davis had it hit him right in the chest.
Well, you mentioned how many guys have been down. There are as many as 10 top-line players. Well, that's just Davis backing out and reading the quarterback. And C.J. Beathard is a good enough athlete. Beathard can really run. That doesn't surprise me. Davis playing a little bit of a spy there, thinking they'd throw the slant. Something short. Great call. Of course, Randy Shannon taking over today for as the interim defensive coordinator for Jeff Collins, who took the Temple job. Good call.
Ball basically hit him in the face mask. Calusi punting to Callaway. Beautiful high floating kick. Forces a fair catch near the 21. A 43-yard kick. Perfect day on the west coast of Florida. Take out the rod and reel. Hope you have your iPad and you're watching the game anyway. Welcome back to Tampa. Let's take a look at your Chick-fil-A impact players.
Well, we've already seen several of them make impacts. We'll see Antonio Callaway touch the ball a bunch today for Florida. Caleb Brantley, we mentioned, one of the juniors who is a projected first rounder. Let's see how he performs today. Akram Wadley just 34 yards away from 1,000 for the season. And Jaleel Johnson, a really terrific inside defensive lineman for Iowa, who played really well down the stretch. He's very key to stopping the run. Lined up on the center now for Iowa.
Appleby looks one way, then goes the other. They set up the screen for Powell. Well executed play, but also well read. Josie Jewell, the middle linebacker, is just one of those people that was put on earth to play football, especially middle linebacker. He, as the coaches say, he just wired the right way.
Even in situations where games have gotten out of hand, they said that Jewell continues to just show top-level effort, and he's one of the guys that Kirk Ferentz and his staff rely on to kind of not just set the emotional standard, but the energy standard it takes to play.
Right into the line goes Lamichael Pirine and no further. And yes, he is related. A cousin of the outstanding Oklahoma running back.
Samaje Pirine will get a shot against Auburn later today. Pirine also cousins with Miles Jack, the former UCLA linebacker.
What a great college player he was.
Now with the Jaguars. Pirine, a true freshman, gets a step up. Jordan Cronkite, the sophomore, decided to transfer at the end of the season, so he's not here.
3rd and 3 for Appleby. Wants to come out, throw quickly, tipped up in the air. Desmond King with the tip. Hesse tips it, and Desmond King has his 14th career interception. And all Jim McElwain can do is grab his head.
Well, there were 3 interceptions thrown against Alabama. You could probably only put one of them on the quarterback. This one, that's terrific defensive end play. And the ends for Iowa, that was Patrick Hesse, who knocks the ball up in the air. And Desmond King gets the fortuitous bounce off his thigh and into his stomach. That looked to all the world like it was going to fall on the ground, but it bounces right back into 14's belly.
Tough start for the Gator offense. 8 snaps, 2 picks. Iowa could not take advantage of the last one. And I tell you what, Desmond King is listed by most services as the 7th best corner in the draft. I don't believe it. That guy's going to play a long time.
I'll put you down for number 4.
Okay. Wadley is in at tailback, and Wadley will get the call. Off the right side. Out of bounds, just inside the 17-yard line. Should be enough for a first down. A gain of 10 for Wadley, who now needs 24 to hit the 1,000-yard mark.
Nobody, no pair in the history of Iowa football, and they have been running the ball for a long time in Iowa City, have ever run for over 1,000 yards as a pair. The closest were Owen Gill and Ronnie Harmon back in '84, who both went over 900. So you're looking at a first in a program with a lot of big history in the run game.
Give credit to fullback Brady Ross for leading the way on that last play. Wadley again, no blocker, and he's taken down. Good defensive play by C.C. Jefferson. Came off the corner and beat Boone Myers, the tackle, to get to the ball carrier.
Well, Jefferson, an undersized guy. Watch, he's going to flash right to the inside. Typically, you think that guy is going to keep outside contained. Myers was going to do a hook block to the outside, and the quicker Jefferson got to the inside. And with the guys that are out, Brian Cox, Jordan Sherritt, and Antonius Clayton, none of those expected to play today. Jefferson may need to go more, and Brantley, of course, a guy who's going to play a bunch of snaps.
2nd and 12. Hit as he throws. Flag is down. Did the second man get a late hit?
There's no foul for targeting on the quarterback.
So the call was targeting. Ooh, that's awfully close. They were calling. It was the finish off by Voshon Joseph. Oh,
that's to the face.
And the call, well, here's the thing. The replay booth can call this, but they're not going to stop it unless it's egregious. The guys on the field got together and said it wasn't egregious enough to call it, but if I were the replay official, I think I would want to stop this because they can do it, and I think I would want another look at that, whether that was targeting. Voshon Joseph, at the very least, came with his head down, launching at the quarterback, in my opinion.
3rd down. Beathard throws the strike complete inside the 10. Then the ball is dropped and pounced on. Looked like a catch and a fumble from George Kittle, the tight end. Let's see what the officials think.
Tease Tabor was the corner who came in to make the hit, and all the officials are coming together. Well, I'm not sure that the ball was ever locked away. It looked like Voshon Joseph again, who was on the coverage.
An incomplete forward pass. 4th down.
Iowa will try a 37-yard field goal or 36 officially, from Keith Duncan, who's made 8 out of 9 this year, including the game winner against Michigan. And Iowa takes advantage of that second interception and breaks on top 3-0. Chris Thompson couldn't field it. Didn't make any difference. It was 9 yards deep anyway. Florida, 2 picks.
Well, and only 3 points, so cheers to the defense if you're the Gators.
Appleby rifles it down the middle, this time complete to the 41-yard line to Callaway, who ran a post and was wide open. Appleby hit him in stride for 34.
Callaway, who burst onto the scene as a true freshman last year, just runs a little shadow right behind Brandon Powell. Good timing by Appleby. Appleby is such a better quarterback, as most quarterbacks are, when there is a really clean pocket around him. He really has shown some struggles with his footwork if the pocket collapses, and so far the Florida offensive line, and I think you're right, Mike, those 2 interceptions, they're not all on him. Maybe the first one a little off target, but he's looked pretty solid.
Scarlett, the tailback. Powell comes in motion. They've got to respect Powell. Appleby not all that mobile, trying to buy some time. Throws into the breadbasket of Callaway, but he was well covered and couldn't hold it.
Excellent job. Phil Parker, the defensive coordinator, who also coaches the secondary, has terrific coverage on every player. And Callaway came open for just a second, but it was after Appleby had already pulled the ball down.
Nice closing speed by Joshua Jackson.
And there's a look at Phil Parker. And again, not much going on in the run game for Florida, but the pass protection has been pretty solid. That was protected well.
Callaway, they get it to him in the flat, trying to set up blocks for a screen. Knocked out of bounds at the 27.
And for Florida fans who maybe think Luke Del Rio, who was the starter early in the season, suffered a knee injury and then a shoulder injury that knocked him out, just to kind of cool your jets a little bit, Del Rio is not 100% today. No. We were told that if he had to play, it would be mostly handoffs. He would not have much arm strength to get it more than 15, 20 yards down the field. So this would be only an emergency situation. So Appleby's your guy. You're riding him to the end.
And they are not going to burn the red shirts of the 2 outstanding freshmen that they recruited. Appleby hit as he throws, and it's incomplete. Callaway covered by Desmond King. And this will force a field goal try, you would assume.
And once again, it's terrific coverage. Florida not able to get anybody open. It was a late throw waiting for that corner route to come open for Callaway.
Eddie Pinheiro comes on, a terrific kicker. Made his last 9. This will be from 44. If you can kick it from 77 in practice, this is well within your range. We are tied at 3. First quarter of the Outback Bowl in Tampa. Desmond King, not only one of the best corners in football, one of the best return men, but he's not going to get a chance here as Pinheiro knocks it out of the county. After a trip to the Rose Bowl last year, Iowa was pretty good in 2016. Barely over 500 through 9 games, though. They finished strongly, winning their last 3, including beating number 3 Michigan and number 16 Nebraska. Their strength, a stingy defense that allowed less than 18 points a game.
And if they were to get a win today, as an up-and-down season goes, Iowa would have 4 wins against ranked opponents this season. And that was the knock against them last year when they were going into the Big Ten championship game at undefeated was, oh, who have you played? Well, this year they played a really good schedule and may get 4 ranked wins out of it.
Start with an off-tackle play with LaShawn Daniels.
But for this offense, and Greg Davis, the offensive coordinator, longtime coordinator from Texas, when they lost Matt Vandenberg, and then they lost George Kittle, who's now back, that was their 2 best receivers for C.J. Beathard. And as I studied Beathard last year when we saw him, I studied him this year now that he's healthy. I think NFL scouts are going to really like what they see. It's just been hard to evaluate this year. The offensive line was struggling, and then he hasn't had his best receiver, so they've gone exclusively to the run game.
It may be 3 here. McMillan made the stop, and more on that line. Here's Jerry Punch.
Hey, guys, the Hawkeye offensive line won the Joe Moore Award, which is the nation's only award that goes to a whole unit. They were the best offensive line in the country, and they beat finalists, including Alabama. Now, it was a little bit iffy for them early in the year, but down the stretch, how they won it, I was told, is in the final 3 games when they beat Nebraska and Michigan. That offensive line allowed them to average over 230 yards rushing a game, so they were solid down the stretch.
You bet, Doc. Daniels back in at tailback, 3rd to about 4. Blitz coming. Beathard can run. Got to the sticks, and Beathard dives up near the 40-yard line, first down.
How much healthier does he look this year? We saw these guys last year.
I felt so bad for him last year.
He had that sports hernia, which is if you've ever had a pulled groin, it just every time you do something, it feels like that thing tears a little bit. He's running so much better. He is a good athlete. He's got a very live arm. Remember his grandfather, Bobby Beathard, a longtime GM in the NFL.
That's the end of the first quarter. The Outback Bowl will continue after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Iowa back on offense, and Wadley is thrown forward, of course, 4 yards.
We have Jack Del Rio's son, Luke, in the house. Jack, of course, the head coach of the much improved Raiders. And Luke is a transfer from Oregon State who was starting for the Gators early in the year, injured his knee then and injured his shoulder. Although he could play today, they don't necessarily want him to because of that shoulder injury, but he'll be obviously watching his dad coach him up.
Wadley, the tailback behind Beathard. He'll get it again. Room off the right side. Cuts it out, gets a block. Wadley across midfield, still on his feet. And with defenses that are this good, if you get a hole, you have to take advantage like he did.
And a terrific stall move right as he breaks that tackle. Was able to see if I bounce it outside, I've got some blockers.
Hawkeyes have reached the 35, 1st and 10. Daniels, Daniels, 1st down. Jerry Punch, what do you have for us?
And when I talked to Jim McElwain prior to the game and talked about all the injuries this year to his defense, I said, Coach, where are you to thinnest? He said, linebacker. We've really got 2 healthy bodies. And now with Kylan Johnson walking off, his knee's been examined, by the way. He's up walking around. I think they're going to be able to get him back in here shortly. He looks to be not in much distress at this point.
He was starting for the first time at middle linebacker today, Jerry, the 3rd middle linebacker to be hurt and out. Talk about a crucial position.
Well, especially against a team that's going to run it the way Iowa is.
Wadley tries that right side again. This time the Gators with Daniel McMillan, the strong side linebacker, filling the hole very well.
And that middle linebacker, in almost every instance, of course, Randy Shannon, who's now the interim defense coordinator, coaches the linebackers. They're also your key communicator as well. So anytime the offense moves or shifts, because that middle linebacker has the best view, and there's Jared Davis, the normal starting middle linebacker, has been out with an ankle injury. But that communication can also backfire, and in some shift that you don't make the right call, you can just be completely uncovered.
Beathard with a screen pass and a great play by Vozian Joseph, who moves up to play the weak side linebacker today. He diagnosed that play and belted Wadley.
Joseph's had a nice game so far. He was the one that was called for targeting that was then pulled off on the quarterback, but he was also on the very next play the guy who broke up the pass to Kittles. And here, a terrific read, a true freshman out of down south in Miami, Florida. Beauchamp's having a nice game. Well, you don't want us to be too quiet about you. We want you to get your name out there.
And now, if they had to try a field goal from here, it'd be tricky. Maybe too short for one, too long for another. But they'll get the 1st down as a perfect strike to George Kittle, who had to catch it twice, but turns it into an 18-yard gain.
Kittle is one of the top receivers that Beathard lost for a while. He had a foot sprain. And even though he was playing a little bit at the end of the year, he was not healthy. A big target who can run good routes. Pretty good coverage there. But Kittle did an awesome job pulling this away from the defender. And what a big 1st down, Mike. I think you're right. You're right on the edge there. And Iowa goes with 2 kickers, one for shorter, one for longer. And I think you were right on that number.
Daniels back in the tailback, straight up the middle, near the 7.
If you're a Hawkeye fan, this is exactly what you want to see your team doing, because they just can't throw it to the outside. They're missing their receivers, and so you've got to just line up and keep getting these guys the ball. So if you're going to run 2, 3, 4, 5 yards a rush, that'll be just fine, and that's how these numbers have stacked up for these 2 guys. First time in the history of this program, 2 guys over a grand.
So now you're alternating 1,000-yard runners. What a luxury. Good fake by Beathard, has a man too far. Kittle was open. If he throws it more on a line, maybe he's got a better shot.
Well, Duke Dawson, who was one of the walk-in wounded, wasn't sure if he was going to play today with an ankle. He was, we saw earlier a drop by Fant. I'm not so sure if this wasn't short-armed a little bit by Kittle. Not the best throw by Beathard. However, I think that number 7 may have taken some eyes off the ball there.
Huge 3rd down, 3rd and goal. Beathard inside the 5, hit it to 2, dives. No signal, now they say he's short. Marcel Harris made the saving tackle. They'll mark him inside the 1.
And C.J. Beathard is hurt. He got up immediately and started grabbing his right leg. Got to wrap up if you're a defender. Can't just go for the blow up. Oh, I'm not sure. That's awfully close, but Beathard got up, and he did not look healthy. I don't see it. Let's see if the knees. Oh, that is so close. Well, now you're a little limited because you would consider potentially a Beathard bootleg or something here on 4th down, and you have that in there because he's a good run-pass option. I think that option is out because of the injury, and now I think it's all about this offensive line. It won the award for best in the country. Let's see if James Daniel, Ike Bacher, and Sean Welsh can get it done in the middle.
Brady Ross, the fullback. Daniels is the tailback. Daniels hit the backfield. Great stand by the Gators. Marcel Harris, one of the safeties, playing at the line of scrimmage, may have gotten the first shot.
And it was Marcel Harris who went for the blow-up shot on Beathard instead of the wrap tackle that gave Beathard a chance to get down to near a touchdown. But they were outnumbered. I don't know that Beathard should have run this play into that side. It looked like there were too many white jerseys on that side. It would have to have been blocked perfectly. That looked like a numbers game, Harris being the extra man. Terrific play by him after missing the wrap-up on the tackle on the play before.
We told you at the start of this game what great defenses both of these ball clubs have, and they have proven it to us here in the first half.
Yep.
Problem now, if you're the Gators,
you can't do much, can you?
You're 97 yards away from where you want to be.
What'd you say this game was not going to be? 45-40?
Yes. It's going to be 9-6. Scarlett gives them some breathing room out to the 12.
Unlike Iowa, a few missed tackles here. And that was a little misread by Josie Jewell, the middle linebacker. You know, that's when Jewell comes back, it helps make the tackle, but that's what we're talking about as we look at Beathard over there with, it looks like medical personnel down examining his lower body. He got up clearly bothered with his right leg, right below his buttocks where it connects. Makes you think about a hamstring type of injury, but he really was not comfortable after that run.
4 or 5 tackles broken. Touchdown Gators. Mark Thompson ran through one arm tackle after another, and instead of just killing the last 2 minutes of the half deep in your own territory, the Gators get a huge touchdown. Thompson's first, make it his 3rd of the season.
Couple of missed tackles right at the start again. How many have we seen with Iowa today? And Thompson, a first-year player from junior college, who the coaches have really thought has a big upside, but has taken a while to get used to the offense. Showed nice patience and then outran everybody. Neiman and King were giving chase, but Thompson at 237 pounds, able to finish it.
Pinero makes his 30th extra point in a row this year. Standing by for Jerry Punch and Coach Jim McElwain. And let's go to them right now.
Coach, you had the long run, but offensively, yards and points hard to come by. Where would you like to see some improvement offensively in the second half?
Yeah, biggest thing is these guys are really taking it to us up front. We haven't moved them at all, and you know, we get into 3rd downs and they beat us in the pass rush a little bit. So we got to get back, really take a look at that to get some opportunities to create some offense.
Defensively, had the great goal line stand, and you guys have pretty much shut down the Iowa run game. What pleased you most about what you're seeing on that side of the ball?
Well, just knowing how many guys we're missing and seeing how those guys are competing. Guys up front are doing a heck of a job. Now, we've been out of place a couple times with some alignments, but that's to be expected a little bit with the guys that are playing. We just got to make sure we settle it down, stay in the box, and make them earn it.
Hey, thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Coach. When we come back, Reese Davis and company will be along to update you on everything in the Buick Halftime Report after these messages. Welcome back to the Outback Bowl as part of Capital One Bowl Mania. We are at halftime And the Florida Gators with a 10-3 lead on the Iowa Hawkeyes. We told you at the beginning of the ball game, and if you're a college football fan, you probably already knew to some extent just how good these defenses were. They were spectacular in the first half. If you like offensive highlights, there are only about a couple of them.
Well, these defenses are so good, but these offenses, let's be fair, both of them had their struggles coming into the season. For Iowa, just trying to get any type of pass game going has been a struggle.
And moments ago, Jerry Punch caught up with Iowa head coach Kirk Ferentz.
Hey, Coach, the ground game's been your bread and butter for much of the year, but a bit of a struggle in the first half. How do you get the ball moved on the ground in the second half?
Well, we're going to have to clean up some things a little bit. We've had some seams, had some good plays. They got to come up with more, obviously.
So your quarterback, C.J. Beathard, when he lunged for the goal line, get up and grab his hamstring. What's his status?
He's got a little leg strain, but he'll play. He played the rest of the half. We'll play it out.
Hey, thanks, Coach.
Thanks, sure.
You get the feeling that as long as that leg is attached, C.J. Beathard's going to be in there.
He is a senior, and so you'd give him every chance, and just you'd want to make sure that it's something that's not going to be injured more, which is typically not the case with hamstrings, and we'll see how he does down the stretch. But yeah, as a senior, you want to give him every opportunity to play if you can.
More than 70% of Piñeiro's kickoffs are touchbacks, and he can add that one to his list.
And here is where Beathard got injured as he spins out of the missed tackle by Marcel Harris. As he dipped down and spun out of it, watch his right leg right there as he stretches out of it. And right away as he landed on the ground, almost scored. It was just inches short. And of course, it was Harris who made the tackle on the fourth down for no score. But let's see, with time in the locker room, he's been able to stretch and keep it warm, because Beathard was very gimpy at the end of the first half.
Daniels will start the third quarter as the tailback. Both wide receivers to the top of your screen, and LaShawn Daniels will get 1 yard and no more, drilled by C.C. Jefferson.
And this is, Dr. Punch was talking to Coach McElwain before the half about the effort they're getting from this defense. There are as many as 10 top-line players, either starters or key contributors, who are out today. And the number of guys who have had to fill in and step up, and that's Christian Garcia, a linebacker who switched from 56 to 43 in there because Jared Davis is out. And we also saw Kylan Johnson, who was making his first start at middle linebacker. He went out earlier in the game with an injury as well.
Ball's loose. Iowa got it back. Florida is missing its second, third, and fourth leading tacklers. You would never know it. Daniels blown up as Bryan and Davis both hit him, and he coughed up the ball.
Good job by George Kittle, the tight end. And there was just no chance whatsoever for Daniels. He was being hit right as he was handed the ball.
So Beathard now faced with a 3rd and 15. And as we've said before, neither one of these offenses are built for 3rd and 15. 3 wide receivers in the game, all to the top of the screen.
You know what was built for this? The defense.
Yes, for sure. 4-man rush. Beathard under pressure. Set up the screen. Wadley waiting on a block. Great job by Wadley.
I don't know that I've ever seen a running back in the middle of a run call for a block.
Yeah. Well, he was out in front of everybody.
He sure was. What an unbelievable effort by Wadley. Watch how much patience he has right here. He clears, and watch him stop.
Come on.
He gets a couple of more big bodies out there. This is awesome. I don't know that I've ever seen a guy stop in the middle and say, you two guys, you go over there. Still didn't get much help from those two guys. That was almost all Wadley. It
was also a great job by C.J. Beathard, because he had guys coming at him and coming at him fast. He's backpedaling as fast as he can just to get some space to get rid of it.
Yeah, that's.
But you're right. Wadley's out there going, come on, come on.
Well, Akram, if you're looking for a foot race with your linemen, I got news for you. You're going to beat him every time. But nice job of patience. And what a big 3rd down conversion.
Oh, it was huge.
Yeah, and that's that manufacturing the pass game for both teams. Florida's 85-yard touchdown came on a screen as well.
Wadley again. Good run off the right side. And look at him fight. Breaks tackles down to the Florida 46.
Well, you're going to lose one of the 1,000-yard rushers to graduation. LaShawn Daniels is the senior. The good news for Iowa fans, Wadley is back as a junior. He's a guy who had a monster game against Michigan in that huge upset down the stretch, knocking Michigan out of the college football playoff. And Wadley, early in that game, threw a brilliant move on Jabril Peppers that left Peppers grabbing for air, and it energized this whole team, and Wadley's playing that way now.
He's also their second leading receiver, so he's very valuable in that area. Daniels back in. And he fights for extra yardage. A little sense of urgency in these running backs here in the third quarter.
And the offensive line. And it's hard to put in perspective how much this line was struggling when Cole Croston went out. They had other injuries, guys who weren't playing as well. Ike Butker, one of their best linemen, who's now playing left guard. Today he was out with an ankle injury. How much better they're playing now than they were in late September and through October.
And if you're an Iowa fan, this is the second straight 2nd and 5, and that's what this team needs to have, 2nd and 5s. Daniels pounds his way down to the 30. Well, they have found something in the middle of that line that had not existed in the first half.
And it's going thunder and lightning. Of course, that's always the preferred moniker when you have a guy like Daniels at 225. And then Wadley comes in at 191 pounds, two different style runners. And that line, Cole Croston, Boone Myers, James Daniels, they got Croston back today. So Butker moved over to left guard for Render. Croston, a guy who hadn't played for a while, able to go today, and that was a big boost for them.
Welsh threw a great block on that last play, too. Wadley was hit in the backfield, should have been taken down for a loss, ended up gaining a yard.
It's almost hard. We call games with hurry-up, fast-paced offenses all the time. We had one the other night with Virginia Tech.
Sure did.
It's almost amazing how slow this game can feel sometimes when teams huddle. Honestly, for me, I can't even watch NFL games anymore. It feels like they're in quicksand as slow as they go.
To the 12 goes Daniels, stopped by Joey Ivy.
Big call, 3rd and medium for Greg Davis, the offensive coordinator, longtime coordinator at Texas. Of course, was the quarterback coach for Vince Young when he won the Heisman Trophy and a national championship. In which bowl game, Mike? The Rose Bowl. See the connection I just made?
That's very good.
Promotion to the Rose Bowl.
Very good.
But remember, C.J. Beathard, not much of a run threat with that leg injury.
3rd and 4. Daniels straight ahead. Now, I don't know that you can't kick the field goal here.
Yeah, I think with the way that this game's been going, this is the side they're trying to go to. And it looks to me like the nose guard did a nice job, but just completely unblocked the defensive end on the backside. This is about the 3rd time where it looks like maybe there's been some confusion for Iowa in who to block, or maybe they're outnumbered by Florida in that run situation.
Duncan is hit from 36. This will be a 30-yard try, and he pushed it right. So 4 plays of more than 10 yards on that drive. The best drive of the entire game for the Hawkeyes. But they come away with absolutely nothing on a short field goal that is pushed. This past Tuesday, both teams visited Channelside's Splitsville bowling alley. That's a nasty name for a bowling alley for friendly competition. Florida won at 797 to 691. Appleby. Boy, and he saw King coming. He got to the ground about as fast as you could. I don't blame him.
Well, it was funny. Appleby almost looked back for a second, thinking, hoping maybe, hey, is there someone I can pitch this to? Who's got a little better burn rate with the legs turning over. And Desmond King, who last year won the Thorpe Award as the country's best defensive back. Not as many chances this year at interceptions as he had last year, which you would expect.
No, they tend not to throw against you at all when you're that good. Scarlett to the 42. That'll be enough for another first down. And the Gators doing a much better job on the ground here.
And for Desmond King, a senior who decided to come back for his senior year, he's one of 3 guys on the roster from Detroit, Michigan. Iowa, not a very populous state, so they have to go to Michigan and a lot of times the Chicagoland area to find athletes. And King has had a brilliant career. A few people were a little shocked he decided to come back for his last run after winning the Jim Thorpe, but he's had a nice season, stayed healthy, be able to go into the offseason and make that NFL dream happen.
Scarlett will try the left side this time. Picks up 4, and with more on King, Jerry Punch.
Yeah, you mentioned Desmond King was an All-American, won the Thorpe Award last year, had a chance to come out and go to the NFL and leave early. His mom, Yvette, says the conversation lasted about 30 seconds and went something like this. She said, you know, you are so close to finishing. We have been poor before. A couple more months is going to mean nothing. I want to see that degree. Last week and a half ago, he graduated with honors, got his degree, and most importantly, made Mama happy.
Isn't that wonderful of her? I'm sure all the sacrifices she had made as a mother her entire life. They got away with a hold here, and Appleby will throw late and throw it out of bounds.
Well, the other part with if guys go out early and they don't finish their degree, the percentage of guys who come back to campus and then later finish up their degree,
0?
It's very, very low. So that's well done, Desmond. You came back to get your degree. You've got it. Now you can go on with that under your belt. And knowing that if you would have left, you may have never come back and finished it.
And well done, Mom, for the extra sacrifice and the advice. 3rd and 5. Iowa with that amoeba lineup. Pass underneath. Complete to the wide open Freddie Swain. They blitzed and left that area wide open.
You mentioned the amoeba defense, all the guys standing around. It looks like maybe they got a little confused on where Swain was lined up. And all the bodies from Iowa moving around. They forgot Swain as he crossed. Oh, absolutely. The linebacker completely lost sight of the crossing route and didn't get enough depth. Good read by Appleby.
Yes, it was. Fake to Scarlett. Appleby sits in the pocket, throws a post. That's the tight end Goolsby inside the 10 to the 8. Nice throw by Appleby. And when he gets a chance to set his feet and can step into it, he can play.
And for Goolsby, working, he's just running right behind Keontae Lewis, the other tight end. And Goolsby's the guy who is struggling pass protecting. Well, obviously, a little better pass receiver than he is protector. Nice job by Appleby, again, delivering the ball on time and accurately.
Goolsby had that huge day against Alabama. And they'll pick up about 4.
Well, at this stage, you got to let Appleby, I think, try to get something to the end zone. I mean, I want to keep the playbook open, but we've seen Appleby when given time, he's been able to find open guys. And now, because you're in a goal-to-go situation, 2nd and goal from the 16, this looks to me like you're going to throw it until you have to send out Pinheiro.
Think about this, too. You don't want to jeopardize what would be a chip shot for Pinheiro, which would put you up by 2 scores. You can look at it that way.
No, just don't take a sack. That's easier said than done.
Good advice. Appleby, good protection, throws underneath. And Callaway will get down to the 6 before he's brushed out of bounds.
And once again, this offensive line, we've been talking about how good Iowa's offensive line has been in the run game today. Other than a couple of times Florida's offensive lines held up really well. That took a long time to get there. And when Appleby is comfortable in the pocket, like most quarterbacks, very efficient.
Now you've got a chance to run anything you want on 3rd and goal from the 6.
I'd pull that face mask up for a little more protection.
Appleby, touchdown to Goolsby. Goolsby's first catch got wiped out. Appleby almost ran with it and then saw Goolsby crossing right in front of him with not a black shirt anywhere near him.
And you're kicking a field goal if Appleby pulls that down. There was about 2 guys who easily would have made the tackle short of the goal. Well, we assume they would have made the tackle, but we've seen Iowa miss some. But an excellent job by Appleby taking a second thought and finding Goolsby, who took a while to get open. He got caught up in the middle with some Iowa defenders and then broke free.
Pinheiro with the automatic point after. Appleby got off to an awful start. 2 out of 6 with a couple of interceptions. Since then, he's 11 for 16, 2 scores and 198 yards. Welcome back to the Outback Bowl, and it's 17-3 Gators. They went 80 yards in 12 plays, took almost 7 minutes off the clock to score a touchdown after Iowa had taken 7:25 off the clock and came up empty.
It's a little bit of a defeater, isn't it?
Yes. King 3 yards deep. He wants to bring it out. They need a big play. And he gets to the 22. Hadley breaks 2 tackles and takes it out to the 38-yard line. Marcel Harris came up from his safety spot, had him dead to rights for a loss.
Well, Wadley, he's playing like he's got something to prove. He's a junior, so knows he's coming back. But, wow, 2 missed tackles right at the point of attack. You see guys, when they fall down, you always wonder, are they dropping their heads? And there you see Marcel Harris flopping around, dropping his head. And the safety came over the top and couldn't finish it either.
That is going to be the last play of the 3rd quarter, and Iowa facing a huge upside drag here. They're down 2 scores. Can they come back? This presentation of the Outback Bowl will continue after this message and a word from our ABC station. The Gators have scored the only 2 touchdowns of this game, and as we start the 4th quarter, they're up 17-3. I'd love to thank our entire crew for a great season. Our cameramen who have brazed much worse weather than we've had today. Mike Behrens, Eric Sears, Kenny Parsons, Jason Dutcher, Tom Britt, we thank you so much, as well as everybody in the tape room, audio and graphics. Anthony Holman, our producer, Steve Turnberger, our director, Mark Fredrickson, our statistician, and Dave Dare, our spotter and stage manager. Thank you all for your terrific work all year long. Beathard comes out trying to throw, intended for his tight end Kittle, but he had Marcel Harris right in the path of the throw.
Now, who are those folks again we were just talking about? What do they do for us?
Some are cameramen, audio guys, statisticians, producer, director.
Seem like nice folks.
Yeah, they are. They are. You met some of them this morning.
Well, this is a little do-or-die feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. With lack of a quick strike offense, you're going to have to produce every time you get your hands on the ball. Beathard with a man in his face. Tipped and intercepted. Picked off by Chauncey Gardner. And he takes it to the house. 58 yards. You said it was do or die? That was the latter. The Gators have made the big plays.
With Nick Washington, Jawan Taylor, and Marcus May all out in the secondary, Gardner, a freshman, gets a chance to play, and because of good defense at the point of attack and then a quarterback in Beathard who can't run because of a bad hamstring, it's a pick 6 for Chauncey Gardner. Give Beathard at least an A for effort, but my goodness. I got to start thinking it might be time just to give Nathan Stanley a little bit of a run.
You really feel for CJ.
Well, you don't want to get hurt anymore either. You've got a guy who's got some NFL potential. Obviously, he's going to need, and there is Stanley right there to his right. Obviously, he's going to need time to get healed to start running for pro scouts. I think maybe the time may be now for Stanley to take over at quarterback for Iowa. And that was, of course, he was trying to go for a touchdown earlier when he injured that hamstring, and clearly you can see it here.
Pinheiro, who's had nearly a perfect season, adds the point after the ball tipped, and the Gators make him pay with a 58-yard interception return. Pinheiro will be backed up to the 20-yard line after an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty.
And he's going to aim for the bloomin' onion on this kickoff.
He's got a shot to hit it, too.
Do you think they fry that thing before they put it on?
I hope not. King is deep. Pinheiro tries him all the way back to the 1. Desmond King, great kick returner. Almost to midfield. 48-yard return. What do we call them? I don't know yet. Typewriters? Beathard on the run, and it's picked. Same guy, Chauncey Gardner. To the 5. Well, Chauncey deserves to dance.
Well, and I feel awful for C.J. Beathard. And, you know, we've been talking about should he not be playing. This, to me, is an example why maybe you should have given Nathan Stanley a shot. I know he's a senior, and I know he wants to battle through, but he's just not healthy. He's got a pulled hamstring. Things are falling down. You can't expect a guy with a bad hamstring to make a throw like that. Forced by Beathard, but just a tough. And now you've got Beathard having to go chase once more as Gardner does everything he can to get in the end zone.
Not the way C.J. wanted to go out.
No, but he's had a great career, Mike.
Yes, he has.
He's won 78% of his games as a starter at Iowa coming in. Of course, he won a QB battle a couple years ago against Jake Rudock. Rudock ended up transferring to Michigan. And it's not going to end the way he wants, but I do think C.J. Beathard's career should be over. I think no matter what happens in this game, in my opinion, Nathan Stanley should be in the rest of the way. There's just no reason for Beathard to play anymore today, especially given that he does have a future. He will have to be tested for his 40 time and his movement very soon.
Scarlett trying to get outside. No dice. Let's go to Doc.
And if you're wondering why the medical staff doesn't step in here, guys, basically C.J. Beathard he's let Russ Haynes, the great athletic trainer at Iowa, evaluate him, do the massage, do the stretch, but he's waved them off. He knows there's nothing they can medically do. It's going to require ice and tincture of time to heal a hamstring, so they're really not involved. It's a matter of him coming over to the bench, putting the headset on, talking to the coaches upstairs, and his desire to be in the football game. The medical staff doesn't have a say, so it's all up to the coaches.
Tincture of time. That's a brilliant phrase. Only Jerry Punch could turn. Appleby takes a shot, but it looked like he was hit in bounds. If you get a shot at somebody like Josie Jewell just did after a frustrating day, you're going to take it. It's up to Appleby to protect himself.
Well, Jewell, you mentioned earlier, well, he's got to be careful, though. You know, if you drop your head late, you're asking for some type of trouble. I like the hustle. I don't like the very end of the play with the drop of the headgear. Eyes up is the key.
Well, normally they are. Otherwise, he wouldn't have 114 tackles coming into this game. Appleby Appleby under pressure now and just throws it away.
Not sure he was out of the I'm not sure he was out of the tackle box there. It did go beyond the line of scrimmage, the throw. The two things you got to do to not get intentional grounding. Now, it would only back up the field goal try about 7 yards, so it wouldn't be that big of a penalty. Seeing as Piñeiro's good from 77 and in.
Piñeiro, 3 kicks that he made over 50 this year, 9 over 40. He's hit from 44 already. This is from 25 in this game. Only a sophomore, just a tremendous weapon for the next couple of years for this Gator team as they go up 27-3. The emotions coming out for the Florida Gators. It's been a frustrating year, but not today.
Pretty good afternoon for a true freshman, Chauncey Gardner.
Absolutely.
2 INTs, one worth 6 points.
Look at this kickoff. What a weapon that kid is, but it was a little wide left.
Desmond King, the kick returner, has been saying good or no good all day on those. That one he said was no good.
And boy, wasn't that a bummer for Louisville at the end of the season. This came apart.
Sure did. Still really very surprised CJ Beathard's in. We've talked about the health, but at this point, you also, I think you've got to start planning for next year. Nathan Stanley, the true freshman who won the backup job with a brilliant camp. Be really nice to get him some reps. So on top of the health issue for Beathard, a little surprised that Iowa not trying to get some backups in a game that's clearly out of hand.
Wadley off the left side. Nice move to stay inbounds and on his feet out to the 47-yard line.
You got to figure for Iowa, they'll have Nathan Stanley back. They'll have Nathan Stanley probably most likely quarterback next year. It'd be nice to have Appleby Wadley back. He's had a nice afternoon.
Yes. Went over the 1,000-yard mark to join his teammate Sean Daniels. Wadley today, 21 carries, 110 yards. But Iowa's been stuck on 3 since the first quarter. Beathard goes out to Daniels, and Daniels is smoked by Joseph. Starting at the weak side linebacker spot today, and he's had a couple of big sticks.
Yeah, a bunch of guys out. David Reese, Jared Davis, Alex Anzalone. I don't believe we've seen Kylan Johnson back, who was starting at middle linebacker.
Well, they started by losing 3 of their top 4 tacklers not being in the lineup.
And they're not playing the most vicious offense in college football, but boy, what a nice afternoon. Jeff Collins, the defensive coordinator, left to take the head coaching job at Temple. Randy Shannon, the former head coach at Miami, player at Miami, head coach, and won a national championship there as a player and as an assistant now. He's the interim head coach. Jim McElwain said he's in line to potentially get the full-time job, but this defensive staff's done a heck of a job.
Wadley across midfield.
Well, that went too far, didn't it?
Yes.
Here's a look at Randy Shannon, who also serves as the linebackers coach. Think about that. You get to call defenses, and all your linebackers are hurt.
Yes.
On top of that. But, good prep for the Gators. They've been playing good defense here for years. The question has been, when is the offense going to get going? And that's, of course, why they brought in Jim McElwain.
Well, he turned around Colorado State. Is there any doubt in your mind he'll turn around Florida's offense?
Well,
this ball's picked up in the air and picked off. McMillan, the linebacker. And he's cut down at the 36-yard line. Ryan was the one who got in on C.J. Beathard and forced that fluttering throw and the return of 24 yards.
that's your right shoulder getting caught up into your arm. Terrific job by Taven Bryan. But C.J. Beathard has just been beaten around, and look at him grabbing that right shoulder. Once again, here's a guy who's not healthy enough to get out of the way, and look, now he's got to get up and chase another return. This has got to be enough. Oh, this is just take Beathard out of the game. This has become now a safety issue. The young man can't play anymore. It's time to make the change.
Either that, or if for some reason you want to leave him in there, just hand the ball off and let him get out of the way. Ryan picking his way to the 30. Well, let's check in with Jerry Punch. Doc?
Hey, guys, on January 8, 2007, a 13-year-old Canton, Ohio kid named Austin Appleby went to Glendale, Arizona to cheer on his beloved Buckeyes. On that day, he saw him lose 41-14 to Tim Tebow's Gators in the BCS title game. Also on that day, not only did he become a Gator fan, he became a Tebow fan. And so when he went to high school at North Canton, he wore number 15 in high school and said whenever he makes it to college, he wants to emulate his hero both on and off the field. And by the way, talk about high school, I want you to think on this after the play. He was a great high school basketball player. See if you can figure out who his high school basketball coach was at North Canton, Ohio.
Oh, I think I know this one.
Appleby sitting in a pocket, had that batted down by a defensive lineman.
Is it a colleague of ours?
It is a colleague of ours. I think you're right, Ed. It is our ESPN analyst, former player at Penn State, Todd Blackledge, who works basketball, works football during the fall, and after he's done, he becomes the head basketball coach at North Canton, Ohio.
Oh, that's great. Todd did a wonderful job calling that semifinal game the other night, Washington and Alabama.
He sure did. He is just such a smart guy.
Terrific guy. Great calling.
Pinheiro steps into a field goal and line drives it through. What a kicker.
His teammates are bowing down.
And why not?
When he hit this, his holder just stood up, turned around, and gave him 5 right after he made contact.
He just crushes the ball. Oh. If he had a 3-wood like that out of the fairway, it hit it 290. And Pinheiro, not his best kick, actually didn't go out of the back of the end zone. Handed off to Wadley.
And we'll see if it is just hand off and get to the locker room. But at some point, and Doc Punch made a very good report, this is not a medical staff issue. This is the coaches deciding that Beathard stays in, and Stanley, a guy with tons of promise. This is a true freshman that battled through and became second string, clearly the second string quarterback going into the season. Someone that not only could be getting quality time, but he could be spelling someone who has an injury, and again, in my opinion, should not be in the game for competitive reasons.
Well, to be fair, I think this is also a C.J. Beathard decision.
Well, I'm Mike, I see that side of it, but in my opinion, at some point, Kirk Ferentz, the head coach, Greg Davis, the offensive coordinator, need to say, CJ, you're done for the day. You have to go and sit on the bench. It's not just, I said it's for competitive reasons, not just competitive reasons, for health reasons. I believe this is a young man with a future in the NFL, and he has a hamstring right now that's going to need a tincture of time to be healed, and I think that time should have started 2 or 3 series ago.
Certainly he should get a look by somebody, and with his competitive nature and just the way he is built with his skill set, he's got a shot at making an NFL roster.
He's got a really good arm, real lively arm. He's but you can see this guy's really taking a toll, getting beaten up today. And if you're an Iowa fan, I would be, well, nearly appalled, frankly, if he's back in the game the next series. So this might be the last time that you see Beathard as a Hawkeye.
They'll have to give it up here. And Ron Caluzzi, the graduate transfer from Central Michigan, who decided to finish his career at Iowa, will kick it away. Callaway got a running start and just tripped up at midfield. Jackson got enough of him to bring him down. Only 1:12 to go. Florida will have to run a couple of plays. Jim McElwain has seen his team come out missing so many players on defense and still being dominant on that side of the ball.
And we saw them last year against Michigan in the bowl game, the Citrus Bowl, get blown out, not have very good effort, and that's not been the case today. You know, one guy that I think helped spark this is Antonio Callaway for Florida, clearly one of their best players. Just getting ready for this game. He took a real spark and talking to the people, had a real good bowl practice, was really intense, and he was getting ready to go against a very good player from Iowa and Desmond King. And so, you know, sometimes it's a guy like Callaway, just his focus and his energy that can help everyone get ready. But what a nice win for Jim McElwain on the end of what was becoming a disastrous season at the finish.
Doesn't take long to get here from Gainesville, so all the folks that came down got in their cars. The people from Iowa flew here and experiencing some nice warm weather in Tampa, but they'll go home disappointed with what happened with their Hawkeyes today. McElwain very happy to get the bat.
Well, if you're a Gator, it's a Gator bat. Pretty good deal.
Congratulations to Austin Appleby.
Nice way to end your career.
Yes, sir.
Lost his starting job at Purdue. Decided to go on the road, try to get a job. He was the backup until Luke Del Rio was hurt earlier in the year and had a terrific ball game this afternoon.
Let's go to Jerry Punch. Doctor?
Coach, we talked before the game began. You start today without 6 starters on defense. You said you had 2 healthy linebackers and some freshmen playing in the secondary, and you hold the Hawkeyes at 3 points. How would you describe the play of that unit?
I tell you what, the team, you know, the way they, you know, just how they went through the whole season and their bowl preparation. You know, they were embarrassed a year ago when we played in the bowl game, and this group of guys wasn't going to let it happen. We were down some people, but the guys came in and played their tails off.
You had to endure a hurricane, a host of injuries, an incredible performance in Baton Rouge. You win the SEC East for the 2nd year, and then today, a January bowl game. How would you define this team and this group of seniors going out for you this year?
Well, this past 2 years, this group of guys and then these young guys that came in and played, you know, to be part of 2 championship teams, you know, win a bowl game against one heck of a football team. I just can't tell you how proud I am of our guys, and you know what? We're looking forward to next year already.
I can hear in your voice how much it means to you, Coach. Congratulations. Go hug your players and celebrate.
Thank you so much.
Boy, you could hear it in his voice, too, how much this game meant to Jim McElwain and how much his kids meant to him. Don't forget the Rose Bowl presented by Northwestern Mutual at 5 Eastern on ESPN. For our entire crew who works so hard all year long, thank you so much, guys and girls. For Ed Cunningham and Dr. Jerry Punch, this is Mike Patrick saying so long from Tampa, Florida.